Okay, let's go.
Alrighty, we're going to move right into the acquire step. Now, we've talked about kind of a broad start program, study, target, acquire, resell, transact, and kind of how it all came about. We talked about the study step and determining who your buyers and sellers are, determining your budget, determining your market. We talked about the target step. We talked about inbound versus outbound marketing and a couple of the different overreaching thought processes. And we've talked about the most important part of that target step is to create conversations. Okay. Um, it depends in the acquire step, it's going to depend on what you're doing, right? It's going to depend on everything. Like we build as we go, right? And the target step is going to give you insights on decisions that you made in the study step. And those insights are going to be important when you start reviewing things over time of now I have more information, more data, more education about the decisions I made and what is happening. And now I can see how it was implemented, maybe how I need to change. That's why it's a loop. That's why it's always happening in the target step. Now you started taking action, you started having conversations and things like that. Now you need to figure out how I can move these conversations into contracts. And that is what the acquire step is all about. The biggest key in the acquire step is to take the conversations that you're creating in the target step and have as many quality conversations as you can. But depending on the marketing channels that you use, inbound versus outbound, and where people are in their life cycle and in their sales cycle, it's going to depend on how you do your acquire step. But in general, there's a sales process that needs to be followed in order for you to move somebody from a conversation into a contract. And ultimately, in this video, that is the goal. Conversation to contract. Okay. So in the target step, we're creating those conversations. We are bringing data points, leads, and converting them into opportunities. In my business, lead is defined as data, a name, address, and telephone number. That is a lead, right? John at 123 Main Street has a phone number of 555 whatever, right? That data. I haven't spoken to that person yet. Once they've raised their hand, once they've filled out a form, once I've called them and had a conversation with them, they become an opportunity. They've expressed interest in selling their property. That target has been completed. Now it's time to move them into an acquire step. So again, it depends on what that lead source or that lead channel is, on when that conversion happens from a lead into an opportunity. On inbound leads, like from your website, if they filled out a form on their website and they raised their hand and said, I need to sell my house in the next 30 days, they're an opportunity as soon as they come in. If it's a cold call and you pull a list and it's 123 Main Street, here's the owner's name, here's the telephone number, that's still a lead until you actually reach them, actually have that conversation, and they say, yes, I'm interested. As soon as somebody says, I'm interested, they become an opportunity. Okay. Now it's your job to take that opportunity and turn it into a contract. So a new opportunity is somebody that we haven't spoken to yet. It's somebody that maybe they filled out a form, but we haven't actually got them on the phone yet or anything like that. The first thing that we need to do is we need to make contact. We need to start the interaction. Okay. And some people, it can happen from one telephone call. You can go from that, hey, John, it's Seth. How are you doing? To, hey, I'm going to send that contract over to you. Let me know when you get it. Let's go through it and let's get you to sign it here today. Some people, it's going to be, hey, John, this is Seth. How you doing? 12 months later. All right, John, finally, let's get this thing wrapped up for you. I'm going to send that contract over to you. So the timeline is going to be different for every single opportunity. But what's important is that there's a conscious effort to move people from new to contract sign. Okay. The first thing you have to do is you need to make contact with the person. Okay. Once you make contact with the person, you are going to qualify them. And I say to qualify them based on the four pillars. Okay. And there's kind of a fifth, it's almost important enough to be a fifth pillar, but it sits in with condition, motivation, timeline, price, condition. The four pillars. Like I said, occupancy may be a fifth pillar, but it works in with condition of the home. Um, and that's where I kind of fit it in, but it's almost important enough to be a fifth pillar. Um, the number one most important pillar is going to be motivation. Okay. And the best way to define the motivation is, does somebody need to sell or does somebody want to sell? You want to have as many conversations with people that need over people that want. Okay. Need versus want is a very, very important distinction. And that goes into the study step when we started talking about identifying our seller avatar and the different motivation types and things like that. It also goes into our target step on who we're targeting, what lists we're pulling, what the messaging that our ads are sending to pull those people in. But we want to have conversations with people that need. Just because somebody wants and doesn't need doesn't mean that they're disqualified, but the people that need are going to convert at a higher rate. Okay. Um, Motivation is important. There's all different types of motivations. We talked about it in the study step. There's personal motivations, there's property motivations, there's a combination of both. But there's got to be a motivation in there in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's a want motivation or a need motivation, there's got to be a motivation in there somewhere. Relocating, hired landlord, vacant property, distressed property, foreclosure, bankruptcy, divorce, whatever it happens to be, there has to be something there. Okay. Now we want to talk about timeline. Everybody, like we said, everybody's timeline is going to be a little bit different, but people with a shorter timeline are going to qualify on that pillar more than you don't want to fill your pipeline up with people that have a 12 to 24 month timeline. You want to fill you want to fill your pipeline up with as many people that are 30 days or less. It's just going to get you a faster return, and it's going to take less effort and less time to convert those folks. So timeline's super important. Price expectation, right? When you have conversations with folks and they say, I won't take less than $500,000 for my house. It's $1 million neighborhood. That's great. $200,000 neighborhood. Now we got an issue, right? A realistic price expectation, an understanding of based on their situation, where they're falling. You don't want to fill up your pipeline with people that want retail and above 100%, right? You want to fill your pipeline up with folks that have a realistic expectation. Nobody is going to say, yeah, give me 20 cents on a dollar. But people that understand, hey, my house needs a bunch of work. I went to a realtor and they told me you'd have to do this, 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 and this before I'd even list it. And I just don't have that money. I don't have that time. Like, I just want to walk away. I need it clean. I don't necessarily care too much about it. I want a fair price, but I don't necessarily care too much about the price. Like, those are the folks that you want to talk to. Those are the people that you want to fill your pipeline with as much as possible. So focus on the pillar for that, not necessarily disqualifying people based on price, but you want to have people who are realistic in the price. And the last one is the condition of the house. Um, Again, occupancy is probably a very important part of that condition. Um, it could even be powerful enough to be a separate um, qualifier or pillar all in of itself, but occupancy is super important. Is it owner occupied? Is it occupied by a family member? Is it occupied by renters? Um, is it vacant? Right? Is it inherited? And the co-heir, the sister, is occupying it, but the brother is trying to sell it. That's important stuff to know, right? Does the sister actually want to sell because she owns half the property too and she's living there? So does the sister actually want to sell? I'm talking to the brother. The brother gets no benefit from the house. He inherited half of this house and he doesn't get any benefit from whatsoever. His sister's living there rent free. Like he wants to get his money out of it, but the sister, nah, I got a free house. Why do I want to move? Like that's super important conversations that you need to have and understand. Um, so but also it comes down to like the actual condition of the home, right? Like, is there a big gigantic hole in the roof? When was the last time that the HVAC was put in? Like, is the HVAC 50 years old? You know, um, are there floors in the house? Like, I've bought houses that don't have any floors. Is it in livable condition? Does it need a lot of work? Does it need a little bit of work? Um, that dives into like in the study step when we're talking about your ideal buyer. Well, you may find people that love to flip houses in this area in 123, near 123 Main Street. You found 123 Main Street, and this is absolutely a great flip. Like it's in bad, 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 bad shape, and it needs a whole lot of work, but you have a huge ROI potential. The only problem is all the buyers that you know in that area, all they want to do is cosmetic flips. They just want to put some new paint on there and change doorknobs and put it back on the market. They don't want to do structural repairs and things like that. So you run into a problem with that. So condition is very, very important. Some buyers shy away from the big projects. Some buyers specialize in the huge projects that have structural issues and have 100, 200, $500,000 renovations. That's what they specialize in. And if you send them a deal that just needs paint, they'll look at it, but they're probably not going to be your buyer for that because the typical return that they get on the work that they're doing is going to be a lot smaller on that cosmetic flip, and they're going to shy away from it because I'm just not making enough. I know it's not that much work, but I'm not making the money that I normally make, right? So all that's important. Timeline, condition, price, and motivation. Motivation is the number one important thing now. And when I start talking with my acquisitions folks, that I start cultivating and training in my business and things like that, when we start talking about qualifying people in the acquisitions role, and from that initial conversation, motivation is the number one most important thing. Okay. The four pillars are motivation, 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 and then timeline, condition, and price kind of fall in there as well. That's how I say it. But honestly, if I have a conversation and there's motivation, but the timeline, the condition, and the price are kind of questionable, or there's no true motivation, there's no need, there's a want there, but it's not strong, but the condition is terrible for the house, timeline and price are questionable, whatever it is. If I have one of the four pillars, my role is we need to set an appointment. Okay. Now, if we're working virtually or we're working in person, that appointment looks a little bit different, but I've qualified that person. Okay. So I've gone through that initial contact and now I'm qualifying. They qualify because they hit one of the four pillars. Now, after qualification becomes appointment. Okay. I need to see the house. That could be a virtual walkthrough. That could be them sending photos. That could be me meeting them in person. It just depends on your availability, your capacity, what you're doing, the type of business that you're doing, if you're doing face to face or if you're doing virtual. Okay. Just for the ease of kind of going through everything, let's say that you are in person. Okay. And you are the person that's actually going to be going out. So let's just make that assumption for the rest of this video. You don't have to do that. You can absolutely do the virtual stuff and we can dive into those different things. There's different little nuances about that are important. But I think your highest conversion is always going to be in person, face to face. We call it belly to belly, sitting at the kitchen table, having conversations. So let's talk about that. Um, have that initial telephone call, that make contact. I go through the qualification process. I talk to John. John says that he needs to sell the house because he's relocating for a job. He understands. He's talked with a realtor already. He kind of understands that he really should do some repairs to, like the walls and the cabinets and things like that before he puts it on the market if he wants to get top dollar. He's got a truncated timeline because, um, he's relocating soon and he really needs to just get this taken care of and get it done. He doesn't want to deal with all that stuff. He doesn't really have the money to do all that stuff. So he just wants something quick and easy. Um, he would do all that stuff if he had time. So he doesn't want to give up all the property, and just give up on his price. He wants, and ideally, he wants $300,000 for his house that when it's all fixed up is going to be worth $300,000. But he knows that that's probably not realistic. But he wants to get as close as humanly possible. And he knows, I mean, if you put $20,000 into it, then it'd be ready to list. So, if you got 280, he would understand that. Like the numbers don't work, but it's fine. He has motivation. He has a truncated timeline. The condition is not great, right? Maybe his price is a little off, but that's fine. He's got 3 out of the 4 pillars, right? John is great. Numbers are kind of the easy part. I want to be able to solve your problem. I'd love to be able to create a solution for you, but honestly, I need to come out and meet you. I like to do things face to face and shake hands with folks and things like that. But I want to make sure that I'm putting in as much effort as you deserve. And I want to make sure that I give you credit for everything that is good and right with your house so that we can get you the best price that we possibly can. Typically, that involves me coming out and meeting you at the property and letting us walk through and things like that and have a conversation. It also gives me the ability to confirm all the different condition aspects of the home. I can drive by, right, and I can pull up Google Maps and do the Google Drive and see the outside of your house over the last couple of years and things like that. It doesn't tell me what it's like currently. And I want to make sure I give you credit for everything so I can get you the best possible price. So John, would this afternoon or tomorrow morning be better for me to come out and meet you? Let's set that appointment. The sooner the better, no matter what, whether it's a cold call lead or an inbound lead, whether it's inbound, outbound, levels of motivation, all those different things. This is where that psychotic sense of urgency, we call it PSU, where it's super important. So once we've made contact, once we've qualified, set the appointment as fast as humanly possible. Okay. If you're talking to somebody on Tuesday and they say, yeah, maybe on Saturday I'll be over there and we can meet up and things like that. Like there's conscious effort from Tuesday to Saturday to make Saturday actually happen. Okay. Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, better than Saturday. If you have to set an appointment on a Tuesday to meet somebody on a Saturday, there has to be communication between Tuesday and Saturday, right? It has to be meaningful, purposeful conversation throughout to confirm and to cultivate to make sure that Saturday actually happens. One of the biggest problems that people find in the acquire step on the in-person stuff is that I can have a lead manager have conversations with folks and find different levels, different pillars of different levels of motivation, and I can have them set appointments. I can have quality appointments that are setting 4 to 5 appointments a day. if they're setting appointments more than 36 hours out, that conversion rate of appointment set to appointment attended drastically goes down. Drastically. Okay. So set your appointments the same day or the next day whenever possible. Super, 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 super important. You will fill up your calendar next week on Thursday. I'm going out to this guy. He's highly motivated, this, that, the other. And then you know what? John down the street, who owns a wholesale company, calls Tuesday before that and says the right thing and gets out to the house on Wednesday. And then when you call Thursday morning and say, hey, John, this is Seth. I was just giving you a call. We got an appointment today at noon. Wanted to confirm. Oh, you know what? Somebody came over yesterday and I just made an offer I couldn't refuse. I already sold the house. Right. So that's where the psychotic sense of urgency is super, super important. And that is where we need to set that appointment as soon as humanly possible. Once we set the appointment, once we go out to the appointment, it goes from appointment set to appointment attended. In that time frame, we're going to run some comps, we're going to run some numbers, we're going to become educated about the house and the potential value of the house. We're not saying this is how much we can offer for the house. And we're not going to say that we think that the repairs are, if the repairs are this, we're not doing a bunch of math. We are looking at comps. We know that this is a $250,000 neighborhood. The ARV, the after repair value on this house is $250,000. And that's it. Okay. Based on it being a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet in this neighborhood, these houses, these comps, they all sold for $250,000, give or take, or price per square foot, or whatever formula you're going to use. Means that my after repair value is going to be $250,000 for this house. Done. I'm ready for my appointment. Okay. Go to the appointment. First and foremost, I just made assumptions based on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house, this, that, the other. If you show up, it's actually a 600 square foot, 2-bedroom house. Your value is garbage. Throw it out the window. Okay. Now you have to do a little bit of research. You have to do a little bit of homework. It's not a $250,000 house anymore. Okay. So you're confirming what public record is saying. Just because the tax site and just because Zillow and just because PropStream say that this is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house does not mean when you show up that it's going to be a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house. So confirm the information that you have is what the house actually is, right? Going to buy this house and it's on sitting on 5 acres and it's, oh no, you're just buying the house and a little half acre or fourth of an acre that it's sitting on, right? Like we're not selling the 10 acres. Well, if my comps were all based on houses that had 10 acres worth of land and this, that, the other, maybe I need to rethink my ARV again. Okay, so let's confirm that the assumptions from the public records, from the information that I had, is accurate to what it is. That's step number one. Let's talk about condition. Let's find those major items: the roof, the HVAC, the plumbing, the electrical, the gas service, the structure, the foundation. Let's make sure that all those things are in good working order. If they're not, how bad are they? What type of repairs are going to be needed? Let's look at paint, flooring, kitchens, bathrooms, windows, all those different things. Look for cracking, just find the condition of the home, and let's start to develop what our scope of work might be. Every market is going to be a little bit different. I think that when you're starting out, talking with contractors, talking with other investors, kind of finding out what a light, medium, and heavy, or a good, bad, and ugly, just 3 different like price per square foot. Like if I have a house that just needs paint and carpet, like what does that kind of cost me in my market? Is it $8 a square foot or $18 a square foot? Right. If I have a medium level renovation where, I'm not changing anything structural in the house, but I'm going down basically almost to the studs. I'm putting in new drywall, upgrading an electrical service, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, what does that price per square foot equal out? Is it $30 or is it $60 per square foot for a house? Um, but finding three, a good, bad, and ugly is what I kind of like to keep. Or a light renovation, a medium renovation, the heavy renovation, and putting a dollar value price per square foot on those. And then that'll give you quick math. Okay. So that'll be able to give you enough information to have a conversation with the folks educated. I think that starting out, if you know nothing about construction, you need to probably partner with somebody that is strong on the construction side, whether that's a contractor or another investor, um, and rely on that. I think that one of the biggest mistakes that newer wholesalers make is that they don't understand construction at all, and they look at a house and they think $10,000 will do this just fine, or they listen to what the seller says, and man, if you put $7,000 into doing this, this, and this, you'd be great. Okay, great. My repair cost is $7,000. You take it for their word. Come to find out that it's actually a $45,000 renovation that's needed. Um, that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see in newer investors and newer wholesalers. So if you don't understand that, that's fine. Take somebody with you. Use AI. Do something, but build it based on stuff that you have brought in. Okay. Whether it's somebody else, or don't take the seller's word for it. Don't just guess. Build a system around it. Today, and moving forward, AI is so powerful that, if you take enough pictures of a home, you can have AI really and truly dive into like building out scopes works and things like that. It's not just as simple as 1, 2, 3. Don't take it at face value. And I'm not an advocate of just hitting the easy button all the time and things like that. But if that's a tool that you're comfortable using and things like that, absolutely leverage it, take advantage of it. Just don't. I've ran into acquisitions managers, and we've gone through on weekly huddles and had conversations with folks about this property here and this property here and this offer that's going on, and come to find out, every single house had a $50,000 renovation budget. Here are 10 numbers on 10 different houses, 10 different clients, 10 different opportunities, motivation levels, everything. Every single house needed about $50,000 worth of work. That's not that's not a thing. Okay. That's just somebody being lazy, not actually doing the work and just putting a number out there, right? Wonder why your conversions are down. Well, because four of those actually only needed $20,000, right? The ones that you got signed, they were the ones that needed $90,000 to $100,000 worth of work. So the renovation, the repair costs are important. So when we're at the appointment, we need to confirm our assumptions. We need to confirm what public record has told us about the size of the house, the location of the house, and different things like that. We need to look at conditions so we can start developing what our renovation costs are. The most important thing is when we're there, we're going to build rapport. Okay. We're going to talk to them. We're going to make a friend. Okay. We're going to be talking to John like we've known John forever. And that's the most important part. We're going to find things about the property. We're going to note down things. We can note down things mentally and things like that. But ultimately, John's selling a house because he's relocating. John, you need to tell me more about this. Where are you relocating to? What have you? What does that look like? What does that transition look like? Like, are they giving you some type of stipend, or they like what's going on, right? Like, let's talk about that scenario. Let's talk about, is it just him, or is he moving him and his family? Like, man, we changing schools, right? How does that thing? I see that you got your son over here and things like that. What does he think about all this stuff? Right? Get into making a friend and asking open-ended questions and listening. Okay. That's where the deal is going to be won and lost, is actually making a connection. It's not going to be, oh man, these windows, we're going to have to replace those. Like that, there's no value in saying that. There's no value in bringing that necessarily up. There is value in, oh man, you're halfway through the school year and now you got to relocate. Like, what's little Johnny feel about that? Right? Because now I care. I care about your family and what's actually affecting your family. I'm making a connection with you. Okay. There's an appointment that I went on that the house was in very, very rough shape and the financial situation was bad. Um, but when I walked in, you look down in the entryway and there was a walkway about 8-10 inches wide. And on both sides of the walkway was nothing but cat poop. It was bad. It was nasty. It stunk. Um, Not the worst house that I've ever seen, though. um, but nonetheless, it was bad, right? I looked down, I saw it. I walked through the little pathway, walked through the house, dodged some poop throughout the house, had a great conversation with the lady. Had fun. We were talking. At one point, I said, "You want to go outside and talk just to, get a little bit of fresh air and stuff like that?" Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. Right. Ended up having a conversation in the front yard, talked about numbers. I gave her a number that I knew was ridiculous. And I was expecting some type of objection. And instead of an objection, she looked me right in the eye and she said, "I absolutely think that I could get more for my house, but you're the third person that's come over to my house and talked about buying it. You're the first person that hasn't said anything about the poop. So, Seth, I'm going to sell you my house." Okay. Understand the conversations that need to happen versus versus the conversations that you think should happen. Understand what needs to be talked about. Connect with people. Find a problem. Find out what truly affects them. Whether it's important to the deal or not, it is important because it affects them. The psychology of the acquire step is so vital and so important. Having that conversation, earning the right to ask hard questions, right? Tell me more about that. Man, if if we don't find a way to fix that, what does what does that do to your life? Right? You got to earn the right to ask questions like that. You got to earn the right to make an offer at the price that you're going to offer. Take time, have empathy, have an open mind, ask open ended questions, and actively listen to what's going on. Find out what their keys are and whether you think their keys are vital to you closing or not doesn't matter. I promise you they are. Okay. It's all about solving their problem in a way that still benefits your business. It has to be a win win. Okay. I have to solve their problem in a way that it's still a win for me. Have that win win mentality, have that solution mindset, and go in. You can present offers 75 different ways. It's completely up to you. Personally, I like to do, we call it a buffet style. We offer like an all cash price, we offer a creative price, and then another type of creative price, whether it's owner financing or subject to or whatever it happens to be. But we give multiple options so that instead of presenting one price and then saying no, I can present them with 2 to 3 options, and they can still say just no, but I can always come back with, I respect that completely, but I'm just curious, out of the stuff I showed you, what's the one thing that makes it enough? What's the one thing out of everything that I showed you that would be close enough for you maybe to say yes to if you broke everything apart? Would it be the terms? Would it be the price? Would it be the amount that we're gonna pay at closing? Would it be the date that we close on? Would it be um, the as is factor, the fact that we're not charging commissions? Like, what are the parts about this that you actually do like, right? When you start looking at the acquire step and you start getting to the point where you're presenting offers, and every single appointment needs an offer. Every single time that you're underwriting a deal, that you're running comps, that you're looking into the value of the home, that deserves you making an offer. Doesn't mean that the offers are going to get accepted, but it does mean that if you've done the work, that you pay it off by making an offer and having the conversation with the person. You only run numbers for people that deserve the offers. Period. Right? That's where the qualification comes in. Once I'm going on an appointment, you're getting an offer. Whether you accept it or not is another conversation. I'm making an offer on this house. Okay. Let me make the offer make the most sense by digging in and leveling into the condition, the timeline, the price, and the motivation. Solve a problem with my offer. Okay. I know you probably never sell your house for this, but we can offer you $100,000 and we'll close in 15 days. We'll put in a $5,000 earnest money deposit that is non-refundable. We will not have an inspection period. We do not charge any commissions. We pay all of your closing costs, including your back due taxes, along with that. We cover everything. So once your taxes are all paid, your mortgage is paid, and this, that, the other, anything and everything that is left over goes into your pocket. There are no hidden fees or anything like that. Like I said, we'll close within 15 days as long as you're able to provide the documentation to our team in a timely manner. We do this all the time. We have 75 5-star reviews on Google from people that we've helped in situations just like yours. Be confident when I tell you that I'm going to pay you this money for the house in 15 days, that it's going to happen. Here it is. Versus we pay 100,000, right? Um, if you're willing to get a little bit more creative on how you get paid or the timeline that you get paid, I don't know. We can talk about the different scenarios. I may be able to pay you even a little bit more. I could show you a way where, if you're open to the timeline, along with the interest that I'm going to pay anyway, right? I'd rather it be paid to you. I can show you how I can pay you $200,000 all in total over the next 10 to 15 years if you want to see that, right? And then show an owner finance where there is no balloon and I'm going to pay them over the course of the next 15 years with interest and different things like that. And it's going to be more beneficial to me to do it that way than it is to go to a bank, right? Um, it's all different types of ways to present it and stuff like that. But those are just the things, right? Like, don't get into the habit of going to houses and just dropping one price and being like, okay, you don't want it, have a great day, right? Talk about solution oriented, right? This guy's relocating for his job. I'll pay you $100,000 and I'll close within 15 days. Okay. You said that you need to be in California, on a plane to California in 3 weeks. I can make that happen. We can make those logistics happen. And I'm going to break down every single thing and have everything right there ready for you. All you have to do is show up and sign. I'll solve your problem. Right? My price, your terms, my price, however you want to do it. All these terms that you said that you need to have happen, I can meet all of those at this price. Here's a contract. That's the acquire step. Make a contact, qualify, set an appointment, attend the appointment, make an offer, solve the problem, and close the deal. That's the acquire step. That's the sales process. It may take 6 months to go from qualified somebody to they're ready to set an appointment. That's fine. Cultivate, follow up, cultivate that opportunity throughout that step. Every single opportunity is in one of those stages. I need to make contact. I need to qualify. I need to set an appointment. I need to make an offer that solves the problem to get a contract. Okay? It may be that I've made an offer, but it doesn't solve the problem, right? Let me revisit that now, right? Like, this offer didn't solve your problem. What did this offer do? Let's have that conversation, right? Move them through the steps from making contact to making a contract. Move them through the steps. Doesn't matter where they are in the process. You can see, all right, this appointment is set. I don't need to make contact anymore. I don't need to qualify this anymore. This appointment is set. My next step is to go from setting the appointment to attending the appointment. What do I need to do between the time that I've set this appointment to the time that I attend this appointment? I need to educate myself about the property, and I need to make sure that the client understands the appointment is set and it's confirmed. I'm going, right? 24, 36 hours, 5 hours, quickly, too. That's the most important part. Okay. Understand it's vital that once somebody's qualified and they're ready to be setting an appointment and you decide that they're qualified to be able to run numbers, that person gets an offer. No exceptions. If you go on an appointment, if you go on 10 appointments in a month, you better damn sight write 10 offers. If you're not doing yourself justice. Plenty of offers get made with the preconceived notion there's no way they'll take this, just to find out an hour later that they're signing a contract with you. You don't know. Promise you, you don't know. Follow the process. Focus on the solution. Focus on making a friend, building rapport. Focus on the conversations that matter, and make 100% of offers. That is the key, right? Don't focus on the money. Don't focus on the cat poop. Focus on the person, the solutions that you're providing, and make offers. Once you get a contract, once it's signed, now is when you move into that resale step. So we'll talk about that in the next video.
Okay, let's go.